I change your bum life. You fight me, it's a celebration.
I would beat you.
When you sign to fight me, it's a celebration. You ring back home, you ring your wife. Baby, we done it. We're rich, baby. Conor McGregor made us rich. Break out the red panties.
Are you ready?
That goes in the files.
Are you ready? Let's get it all!
Yo, welcome back to the fifth round. As always, your boy Stephen Moustaris. And guys, this is the one time I'm really sitting here really dying to know what other people thought about this fight. If I'm being honest, and I'm clearly talking about Islam versus Volkanovski, UFC 284. And, you know, to be fair, I'm going to start off with saying I definitely am starting to notice myself age a little bit more. I'm starting to push 30 and all this shit. And I'm starting to find myself definitely become way more respectful and way more mature when it comes to hating on other athletes just because I might have thought they lost or they're fighting my favorite fighter or something. I'm definitely starting to catch myself a little bit because Saturday, emotions are high. We're diehard MMA fans. Like, yeah, I was sitting there all night tweeting, fucking going crazy about the decision. I'm like, yo, Volkanovski won that fight. I don't know how people thought Islam won. And then, you know, I'm happy I take a day off and then luckily go hit a gym session this morning, start feeling good, feeling mentally good. And you just come in unbiased as possible. And this is where I just want to talk about the fight, but I really want to hear what you guys thinking because clearly I can see what some people think, and I know if you're an Islam fan, you're probably Team Islam. But so this is where it gets difficult for me, and it's literally like the Bloods versus the Crips. This is like what Raw versus SmackDown. This is like Democrats versus Republicans. Like this is the thing when it comes to MMA. It's always going to be grappling versus striking. If you're a striker, if you're a dominant striker, more so, you're gonna stick with the striker. Guess what? If you're a grappler, you're probably going to stick with the grappling. And you know, to be fair, I was picking. I know people are sitting out there during fight week, they were picking Volk, but you guys can go back, look at the tweet from like 2 months ago. You guys can go back, watch some of my videos I've been doing. Like I've been picking Volk for a while now, and it was more so the height. I thought the height was going to be a problem. I thought his low center of gravity was going to be an issue for Islam. Like, it just makes sense. Like, Islam's so used to, like, a little longer lengthy guys, like, you know, like Bobby Green, Dan Hooker. I mean, even, like, a Drew Dober is way bigger than, I know he's, like, stockier, but he's way bigger than a Volkanovski. Like, when this guy, when Islam's deep on you and he's got the wrist wrapped around the waist and whatnot, like this dude knows where your waist is. He's not going to lose it. But when he gets a takedown on a smaller guy, he's known, like, clearly this guy's so compact. Like, you thought you had his wrist, now all of a sudden you're at his thighs and he's got his legs spread. He's got a good spread. Like, you know, he's stuffing the takedown. Like, that shit is what I kind of thought. And we talk about it all the time. One of the things that kind of shocked me, though, when we're talking striking numbers, Volkanovski didn't get hit that much, but when he did get hit that 2 times, like, you could tell it was like, okay, Islam's got the power, and it shouldn't have been no shock to people. I know people are going crazy about it, but the number one thing I have to take away from this fight, and this is my number one argument, this is the only argument I had about the entire fight. I'm not, a couple days removed, I'm not that mad at the decision. I don't think either guy got robbed, like, especially now that we look back, like, just because Volkanovski lost doesn't mean he actually lost a fight to us people and everything. Like, his stock definitely rising, but here's where I have an issue, and I've been talking about it forever. Like, trust me, guys, the more that I've been watching sport for like 15, 16 years now, so like a couple years in, I used to hate that, like, you know, back when I was 15, like a couple years into MMA, like loving it and stuff, I was like, man, grappling sucks, fuck wrestling, like, why are you guys humping legs? Like, because I was a Rampage Jackson fan, you know, you're Chuck Liddell, Wanderlei Silva, Shogun Rua, like, you're big fans of these guys, Rashad Evans, all these guys that are knocking people out, you know what I'm saying? Like, you don't care about the submission artists. Like, that's why I think at the time, like, people hated on GSP a little bit compared to Anderson Silva, just like from the, you know, the mass eye, because you're just like, oh, okay, I like the striker more. But then you start to realize the more and more you watch the shit, it's like, do you know how hard it is to dominate somebody on the ground and grappling like that, especially a top tier wrestler or a top tier killer like that in the world? Like, it shit's almost more impressive to be able to do 25 minutes than it is to hit somebody with one punch. So, you know, you start to really respect these guys, and you start to see the jiu-jitsu skill coming like crazy and the evolution of the sport. So I love grappling, don't get me wrong, but this is where I have a fucking problem with it, man. And excuse my language, but I'm getting heated right now as we speak. Like, this ruins careers. Like, just because, more so round 4. Let's highlight round 4. This is exactly what I'm talking about. And I couldn't wait to see what happened here. So, Islam gets one of the nicest takedowns I've seen of his career. No lie, one of the most impressive takedowns. I am not taking anything away from this takedown. The way he just lowers level, he basically just drops to his fucking ankles, basically. He just drops all the way down and gets one of the meanest takedowns, turns the corner, gets him down instantly. And then it's probably like one of the only like lapse of judgments in the fight for Volk, you could say. And it ended up kind of working well for him, I guess, even though it lost him the round. But like he's sitting there talking to Islam's corner, like, oh, I'm not down, as he's like got one hand posted and his hips aren't on the ground. But then he crawls on all fours, which 9 times out of 10 is the biggest no-no ever against somebody like Islam who can just strap around that neck. So that problem, no problem with. Impressive takedown, impressive control. Okay, hell yeah. Islam, that's probably going to get you the round if you can, capitalize off this. But then they get to the cage. Islam gets the hooks in, gets the legs hooked up across the waist. He's got complete back domination here at this rate. And where the fence is and everything, it's a big reason that Volk couldn't turn over and get the lockout and everything, because clearly got to have the foot on the ground and you get the knee out of there. Anyway, it was tough. He was stuck in there, but this was prime example for Islam to be sitting there throwing up every submission attempt, starting to maybe, like, the Islam that I know, and I guess this isn't fair to Islam, but at the same time, like, it's situational. It's about who the fighter is. So, like, if this is any other fighter, if this was the Dan Hooker fight, the Bobby Green fight, I know for a fucking fact Islam is trying to flatten him out on his stomach, trying to pretty much ride him like a bull, flatten him out, and just either finish him out or get the choke until letting him pick. Islam does the exact opposite. Islam grabs on for dear life. I'm talking, this man grabbed on as tight as a mom would a kid when you see, like, traffic and shit. The kid tried to take one step into traffic. Like, that's how hard that this man was grabbing onto Volkanovski. And it got to a point where he was completely okay to ride out the next 2.5 minutes of the round, not looking, because I could tell Islam was getting tired from that grappling and trying to, like, control Volk. Volk was giving it to him. They both were giving it to each other. It was an exhausting fight. And you could tell Islam's like, oh shit, I'm starting to feel the tide turn. So I'm okay with it. I'm just going to hold on to him the rest of the round. And you guys can try to sit here and fucking get his back and try to tell me that, him just repositioning which arm's on top of his forehead or which one's trying to go under the neck. Like, you can try to tell me that that's a submission attempt, but Volkanovski was in no position about to get submitted, and Islam knew it. So he wasn't going for anything, wasn't trying to punch, wasn't trying to do anything, literally was just ducking his head behind Volkanovski's neck so he wouldn't get hit. And then literally the whole last half, first or minute and a half of the round, you got Volkanovski literally calling him a bitch, telling him, let's get this going, you're not that strong, cussing him out as he punches him in the face, rubs his face in his fucking face, like rubs his head in his face, doing everything he can, wiggling the legs, trying to get out. Like, guys, it's like number 3, I think, on the list for the judging criteria. It's like, it's a domination of, positioning of the cage or who's bringing the fight. You know what I'm saying? Who's being the aggressor. And in this position, dude, yeah, in all fairness to Islam, it's ridiculously hard to get Volkanovski's back like that and to hold on to it and keep a dominant position like that. Cool. But, dude, you're telling me right now, if you guys are in high school again, or if you guys are still in high school, whatever, if you guys are out at a park and somebody gets in a fight like that, or even if you're in training, like even if I'm in my gym and I'm training, we have sparring day. If one of the best grapplers in the gym or the best fighters in the gym is grabbing onto homie and just holding onto his back and doing absolutely nothing, but the other guy that's got the bad positioning is on top, cussing him out, punching him in the face, calling him a hoe and shit until somebody gets him off him or the fight's over, like, I'm sorry, the guy holding on to the back wasn't trying to fight whatsoever. Like, he got his ass beat. Like, yeah, again, I know those punches from Volkanovski, those aren't damaging. I get that. But guess what? It's him trying to do something while Islam is just holding on. Like, and no, I'm not saying that this round deserves Islam to lose the fight. No, this is literally just, man, you got to be okay with, nobody ever deserves to win that round. Bring up Aljamain versus Petr Yan. Aljamain Sterling, if the fact that he got the takedowns was impressive, and he was trying to, like, in my opinion, I thought he was doing a little bit more than what Islam was doing. Like, Islam was legitimately just holding on, not trying to move or anything. Like, you could see it. Aljamain in a couple of those rounds was trying to get the submission up. He was punching him and shit. And yeah, I know the punches weren't dangerous, but like, that's all Islam had to do was just tap his face, make it look like he's staying busy. That's all you need to do. Like, honestly, just stay busy. But he wasn't. And I know there was a couple of the rounds Aljamain literally just held on. Like, yeah, in my opinion, if Petr Yan is sitting there trying to punch him in the head, whatever, trying to do more, that guy deserves to win the round. I don't care if it's God. I don't care if it's Oprah. I don't care if it's John Jones against Cyril Gane, who John Jones is my boy. If John Jones holds on to Cyril Gane for 4.5 minutes of 5 rounds, or a 5-minute round, and he's not doing anything, and he's literally just holding on for dear life so Surreal can't hit him, but Surreal's on literally just fucking swinging punches, cussing him out, getting the crowd hyped up, moving, trying to get out of the position. Like, that guy deserves to win the round. And you guys can yell at me until I'm blue in the face. I will never believe it. I will never agree with you guys. I do not care. Like, and this is different too. This is where this hurts Islam. And yeah, this sucks. It's not even fair to him. You know what I'm saying? But it is situational. I don't care what it is. If this was a prelim fight, we don't give a fuck. Yeah, some of us who are actually watching the fight are going to go, yo, by the way, I think Volkanovski won that fight, but it's not the end of the day by any means. But the fact that it's Islam Makhachev who has dominated, which technically this is another argument. Should he have been number 2 pound for pound with the wins he has? But I know beating Charles Oliveira enough is enough. That's all you need, I guess, at the time. So, but the way he dominates him, the way he dominates Dan Hooker, the way he dominates Bobby Green, the way he dominated Drew Dober, like, these guys are strong men in 155. These guys don't get dominated like that all the time. Like, it is impressive, and it's more so the stories we hear and, like, what we see of Khabib. Like, because guess what? As fucked up as it is, if Islam was the first one to come out and Khabib's the one doing this, we're saying Khabib's in Islam's shadow. But the fact that Khabib's first, we're going to say Islam's in Khabib's shadow. It's the way it is. Guess what? We're Americans. UFC literally is an American organization. I know most of the foreign fighters take over, but guess what? Us Americans and stuff, we just see the first coming of Dagestani wrestling in Khabib. Like, he's the guy we go to. He's the golden child. So if another guy comes in, steals his shit, it just so happens to be his cousin and his training partner, like, yeah, guess what? You're in Khabib's shadow at that time, and you had your chance to get out of it. But when you have a struggle like that against a 145er and a guy that's 8 inches shorter than you and stuff, like, yeah, guess what? It doesn't look good for you. And yeah, you beat number 1 pound for pound, cool. But I think just with that 5th round, round 3, and I think round 4, in my opinion, I'm thinking Volkanovski wins this fight, hands down, 10 times out of 10, every single time that I just watch. If that fight plays out that way, but I get it. Control and everything, wins in the fight. And I don't think anybody got robbed, and it's one of them rare moments. Like, the first time since like Jose Aldo against Marlon Moraes was when the last time I really remember somebody losing but becoming the winner truly of it. Like, it got Jose Aldo a title chance. That's how good he did against Marlon Moraes. And I know Marlon had the first half of the fight, which looked decent, but he was getting absolutely destroyed by the end of it. And it's like, and I know it wasn't a title fight, it wasn't as big of a fight, but still, it's like one of the last rare moments you really see somebody, get the people's win. And that's the other thing. Like, right now, I know it doesn't count, and it's a lot like when the whole Trump became president. Everybody was like, "Oh, not my president," and all that stuff. Like, I get it. Like, at the end of the day, it's what's on the record books. But dude, it's like, right now, in my opinion, double champ Volkanovski right now, pound for pound champ right now, took the boogeyman title away from Islam. Like, his stock's through the roof. I think, honestly, I think Furl Volkanovski won this fight deep down. Like, yeah, he might have lost the title and all this, but he won the fight. He won the people's... Like, when's the last time, other than a Rocky movie, have we watched a fight where during the title fight, we're literally sitting here like, oh my God, like, I'm turning into a bigger fan of Volkanovski ever. We're talking about the same fighter who literally made my life hell over the summer. And I got the poster right in front of me of UFC 276 when Volkanovski beat the living shit out of Max Holloway for 5 rounds. It was one of the toughest moments of my life. Max Holloway is a top 3 fighter of mine ever. And we're talking about the same guy that just made my life hell. I'm becoming the number 1 fan of his during this fight against Islam. The way he's giving it to him. The way he's like, you're Russian, you ain't strong, you ain't this, you ain't that. Let's go, mate. Like, quit being a bitch. Like, let's get it. Like, you cannot hate Volkanovski, man. And I'm telling you, I think he won the fight, but that's just me. I'm also more of a striker. I get it, but I'm not sitting here saying Islam didn't deserve the win either, because he definitely did. It was a good fight, and I would love to see that fight again. But, like, when we're talking about stocks rising or lowering, if we're talking about what we want to see, what we're talking, like, what our everlasting impression's going to be, it's going to be that Volkanovski is the number 1 fighter in the world, and it took somebody way bigger than him and stronger than him to get lucky in that win. And now it's like Islam's in Khabib's shadow. I don't care. We never saw Khabib other than, well, he got rocked a little bit by Michael Johnson, had one little, like, 2.5 minute, like, slip up there against Conor, but still came back and finished him, and then, almost got choked out by Dustin Poirier, but then flipped it within 10 seconds and choked him out. Like, we've never seen him even get close to a fight like that. So, it's not fair to Islam at the end of the day, but guess what? It is situational. It is based off of what we've had before, and what we based off before, Islam looked awful that night. That's just my opinion. He just looked awful, and it's not his fault. It really isn't. He had a great fight, great game plan, all that stuff. It's just the fact that it's the image of him losing to a 145 or at least getting pushed to the brink of a 145 or of a guy 9 inches shorter than him. So at the end of the day, amazing fight, loved it. And like I said, I'm definitely getting older and I'm definitely maturing more, because if this was Saturday or yesterday even, I'm probably sitting here really bashing Islam a lot more. But no, he had a great fight. I definitely thought he did better in the stand-up than I expected. I knew he'd be stronger, but I didn't think that he would be as smart and as patient as he was. Like, he was literally just countering everything. And there were so many times that you've seen him, like, stick Volk a little bit, and Volk's like, okay, good. But, I mean, that 5th round, when he had him knocked, when he rocked Islam and knocked him down and then got on top, like, you're talking me up and B-dub, screaming my head off, like, let's go, baby. Like, I don't think I never witnessed a fight where somebody has made me a bigger fan midway through the fight other than Rocky. 100%. It was like a Rocky moment. But again, I want to know what you guys think. Clearly, if you're an Islam fan, you're probably going to think, yeah, he definitely deserved it. But I'm more so thinking, like, out there, I don't care who you are, man. Like I said, you cannot grab onto somebody and just have the dominant position, and that's all it takes to win. Like, if you're getting outworked and you're getting called a bitch and being punched in the face, like, guess what? You lost that in the schoolyard, boy. So, like, what about in a real fight? So, anyway, this is the 5th round. As always, your boy Stephen Moustaris, and let's go, baby.